DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
We finally found the switch. I knew I left it here somewhere.
You couldn't just turn it right back on after the last guy left? I mean, come on.
No, I thought, I'm going to put it in a really cool spot that I won't forget where it went.
There's an app to remind you where that's at.
Yeah, this is what happens when you get older and you forget, you lose some. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for being patient with us. We are about 10 minutes late tonight, and I apologize for that. We just had some issues with Mr. YouTube not wanting to play nicely. So we are only on YouTube tonight because first off, YouTube didn't play nicely, then Facebook didn't play nicely. So now we're just here because we'd rather be here than there. Or there than here? I don't know. You get the idea.
So we start 10 minutes late. That means we go 20 minutes later when it's all said and done?
That means that we get lost in the middle and we end up just going and crying in a corner for a little while.
I'd rather just ramble if that's okay.
Ramble.
What else is new?
We've never done that. Never.
Sidetrack, go on a tangent, whatever you like. I'll do it all tonight.
we will. So tonight, typically, Shani is occupying lower right corner on your screen, but tonight, Shani is not feeling well. So we are sending our best wishes out to Shani, and hopefully she will get over the bug that seems like everyone's catching. But she is knocked down with that this evening. So she is probably sleeping and not even bothering to watch because, well, let's face it, she probably needs to rest more than she needs to watch us.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So tonight, what do we have on the agenda, MJ?
Well, I figured we would continue on the theme that we did a couple of weeks ago where I pretty much told everybody they weren't DJs. Then last week I said everybody was a DJ. And this week, if you're just beginning a DJ, we want to talk to you tonight. We want to literally talk about and towards the person who basically, as I said, if you look at our little splash screen on the YouTube page, basically it says the alternative name to the show is "So you've downloaded free DJ software, now what?" Because there's a lot of people out there gunning. Oh, I finally found it. I was looking while I was talking. There is the sick emoji. So there we go. Had to do that. So tonight we're going to talk about 4 basic types of DJs. Really basic, the most common. We're going to talk about what you need to get started. And everything we're going to talk about tonight is to give you advice and help before you even do your first gig. And even if you are a person who has been DJing a while, hopefully maybe some of this might help you a little bit too, in case you want to switch or try something new. You never know. I just had a guy contact me today about DJing weddings. And he's like, "Oh, maybe you want to test the water." Like, I don't know, man.
Test the water, not something you really want to go out and do for
not by myself. It would be working with. He has a very big company with does all kinds, and I like his company a lot. Him and I are good friends, and I'm just like, I don't know, weddings. But if you want to try one of these, if you do one of these, you want to try one of those, the 4 that we're going to talk about, we're going to try to help you through and get started. Because when I teach my DJ classes, some of the questions I get are going to be stuff we're going to cover tonight. Everything you can imagine, like I said, prior to you actually going to the gig. That's what tonight is. Everything prior to going to the gig. Okay, cool?
Sounds good.
Buy lots of polka music. I have to say this because I honestly say that he's the only person, I've got to be the only DJ on the planet that has a laptop dedicated to strictly polka music. Reggie in our chat room has recently got a new computer and it is dedicated strictly to polka music. So
that is unusual.
Yeah, so I think that's a first. So I just wanted to say that. All right, so our 4 types that we're going to cover tonight are wedding DJ, And I separated this one out. I said mobile DJ because I think that's most of the time, if you would say a mobile DJ, it's a little different than a wedding DJ. And that could be anything from a Sweet 16 to a retirement party, corporate events, anything I think that doesn't have to do with a reception. I think you can say mobile. All right. So I think that's something that we can put that differently. Club DJ, and the final one is a DJ/producer. And those are the four we're going to talk about. And I think we're going to rip it down into different segments like music, skills, hardware, marketing, selling yourself, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we cool with that? Are we on a good plane with all of this tonight?
No.
Trying to recover. No.
I think we're good. We're good. You're going to throw out softballs and we're going to hit home runs. It'll be awesome, man.
But I've only got kickballs.
So we'll kick home runs.
No kick home runs.
Pardon me. All right, so let's talk the big one off the bat. Do you want to start with the big one or the little one, or doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
You just want to roll a die?
We can talk about anything.
Dan, get out your Dungeons and Dragons dice, and we'll roll a one-sided die.
Those are upstairs by the headboard, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, John. Wow. Dan's lost. We're going to be lost.
I just learned a whole lot more about John and Lori's relationship than I ever really wanted to. But it does explain to 18 kids, so I think we're all good now.
At least it's not a coin. That's all they have is a flip of a coin, yes or no.
Magic 8 Ball. Watch
Magic 8 Ball. Does not look promising.
No.
So also I want to say, hey, welcome back, Jimmy. Glad you're doing better. We missed you a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, he was not feeling well last week. Why?
MJ has a secret laptop with all country music. Yeah, right. If that secret ever gets out, yeah.
It just did.
It's been, I've been framed. No, let's start with wedding DJ because that's what probably a lot of the DJNTV audience is, wedding DJs or something that has at least to do with that. Let's say someone, we'll go back, brand new, got himself a controller, him or her got themselves a controller for a gift or bought it for themselves or whatever, has a laptop and wants to start getting into the wedding game. Let's start, where would they begin with? Let's start with the physical things they own. What would they need? Like, I want to talk about hardware. What would they need to set up at a wedding tonight? Let's start with that. Basics to do the minimalistic, smallest wedding.
I would say wireless mic.
Okay.
Obviously speakers.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking minimalist.
Yeah. Let's someone who's
two full range, 12, 15s. I mean, if that's all you're going to go with, I would say one of those two.
I'm also going to guess we're going to say powered for someone new, not to mess with the amps. But then again, that cuts that's the balance there of price, because you might be able to get a cheap amp and speakers off of some schmo who wants to go to powered cheap. So that might be a starting point, maybe. Or renting. There's another thought there. Have you guys had experience with renting?
That would be my recommendation, is renting at first. But then I say that, and now we were just at one of the big box stores, Sam's Club, and right there, as you're walking down past the Bluetooth speakers and the Bose headphones and this and the Monster thing, there is a DJ speaker. Once again, they've got them about every 9 months. Sam's and Costco will carry a DJ system. And there it is, a 15-inch two-way cabinet that's touting it will do, I don't know, is it 1,000 watts or something like that for $200?
Is it a brand name that we would recognize?
It's from one of the InMusic company, one of their brands.
Oh, well, that could be a good place maybe to start.
So you've got, and Guitar Center's got a lot of inexpensive. You go out to Amazon, and there's any number of inexpensive places to buy gear. I'd still recommend to rent, because going and buying cheap things that aren't going to last, or things that are going to be like, oh man, and now I'm stuck with them, compared to renting. And yes, it's going to, you rent 3 times and you've paid for those speakers from Sam's Club, but you may be renting better quality speakers and you're like, you know what, I want to, instead of buying the $200 speaker, I think the $600 speaker is going to be a long-term investment for me over the short term. And I think that's something a lot of DJs, when they're starting out in any of these areas you're talking about, is having a long-term plan in place of how I'm going to do this, as opposed to, crap, I need a wireless microphone. Well, yeah, I could go and buy an $80 wireless microphone that's VHF that's going to have 15 feet of range, which can do some things. Or I could rent something for probably $15 a weekend, or $25, whatever it is, and then know that in a year from now, once I'm starting to make some money, I can go out and buy that high-end Sennheiser, that high-end Shure, or whatever other brand fits your fancy there.
I have a friend who actually did that. He wasn't sure a couple of different ones that he wanted, and he knew they were all higher end. They weren't like cheap ones, and he went and rented one for a small event and then returned to the next event, rented the different one, and after a couple of them decided which one he wanted to buy and went out and bought it.
And Robin mentions they need to practice in there, and as one of the first things, the practice. Once you've got enough gear and you've got the desire, it's time to start practicing. It's time to start educating yourself. But we're going to get to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to cover all the different. We're just hardware right now. And then we're going to get into marketing and selling and music, and skills are one of the ones we're going to cover. Skills that you need. But we're just hardware. So find themselves a set of speakers.
Tripods, because putting them on the table is not a look you need to go for.
No, I don't know why.
I like tables. They look pretty.
Recently, I've been seeing this being done more, and it's driving me crazy. I don't know why people are doing it, but at weddings, they're putting their sub in front of the DJ table.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize how bad that makes your sound?
Wait, say again now?
It takes away from your sound. They put it in front of them on the floor, the sub, in front of the DJ booth. If you put that up against the wall, you are simply behind you, up against the wall, you're increasing your sub output by 25% just by simply putting it up against the wall.
And if you move it against the wall off in the corner, basically you need to be within...
Corners too, yeah.
Yeah, you need to be within 4 feet of the wall. And if you can do that and off in the corner, then you're not getting blasted with it, because now the sound is going forward, it's bouncing back, and it's going out, and you're having it where it's kind of coming out and radiating from the corner compared to right behind your head. I mean, the worst spot behind is right behind a subwoofer for getting that head ringing.
But you should never hear sub. You should feel a sub. That's if you're hearing it, you've turned it up too loud. You're not feeling it. That's why you put it against the wall, so it takes the room and makes that again part of its own case. But I still don't put it in front of the table. I don't understand that. It's like even a tripping hazard.
It's an aesthetic thing. I do it,
but
it's not aesthetic. I do it when I'm running one sub. It's in front of me on the floor. Because the venues that I'm using, I don't need it against the wall to make it sound. I don't even have it turned up.
I do not understand.
Full. I don't have it turned up halfway.
All right. So here's your lesson. Don't put it in front of the table. Put it anywhere. Hide it. I don't care. Use it as a seat to sit on. Whatever. Put it underneath the bridal table. Whatever. That's my thing. Anyways, moving on. Okay. So speakers, stands. They're obviously going to have some sort of mic. What else for? Let's talk base. Let's say it's a tiny wedding. They want to start doing a 50-person wedding or something, maybe for their cousin. Like, what else do you think they might need? Probably lights. Would they need to rent some lights for the wedding?
I would recommend, again, the same concept, renting lights for a while. If you you really wanted to invest in something, the boombox from the Stinger Star that we've done some video with, the boombox from American DJ, the Swarm Wash FX, any of these all-in-one light fixtures can do an awful lot. As a matter of fact, I have 2 of those Stinger Stars, and I rented those out to some kids last week for a high school dance. I watched some of the videos from it. It's like, dang, those did a really, really nice job at a teen dance. And I haven't used them at a teen dance. I've only used them at a corporate event. But it's like, that was kind of neat. And all he did was just let them run, sound active, let them go the whole night. Didn't even have them synced up, which, of course, the OCD side of me would have probably been ready to slap somebody after a little while. But from the pictures and the reaction of the kids, here's the DJ brain working and saying, oh, they're not linked up. Oh, the lasers are running this, I'm ripping it in my DJ brain and ripping it apart. The kids are like, oh, look, there's lasers. All right, let's have more fun. Oh, look, they don't care. And I think at times with DJs, and this is, my little rant for a while, we sometimes over analyze everything when it's what the crowd wants, what the crowd's going to react to, and how they, take what they take from it.
You can do a light show with 5 things. And I keep trying to teach people this, and it's something that we've done in the club years ago. If you want to program, you have regular, fast, slow, pause, blackout.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need.
Yeah, it's really, that's the simple controllers I had. I mean, Howie was asking today about some software, and I felt kind of bad because, gosh, I don't use the DMX software. I played with an earlier version, but I've gotten that, the iPad, because I basically have a regular show, a fast show. I have one that I want to make it look funky. I have a nice slow one that I put together, and that's what I have. And maybe I'm a bad person, probably. But
you use Megaseg. You do use Megaseg.
Well,
so.
Of course.
All right, so they've got lights and stuff. That's pretty much going to get them hardware-wise for that, would you say?
Yeah, I think so.
You talked about controller. I would say, if they're just starting out and trying to decide, I mean, they could even go as small as mixer and
a laptop.
Yeah.
I hate that, but yeah, you could.
I mean,
could.
whether we're saying what's right or wrong, what was basic,
that's right. I just saw a guy here in the city. There's an area where I was DJing at, and there's a section called Market Square, and they were having a big party where they people brought giant games into the Market Square for people to play, like giant checkerboards and giant what's the one with the beanbags, cornhole and all that. And the DJ that was there had a laptop on this thing that looked about that wide and came up to about where his waist was, and his laptop was there, and the front of it looked like a steampunk robot with lights flashing. And that's what he was DJing on. He had his speakers there, and he had the laptop going down into like a little, it was a rack mount, but it looked kind of funky, like this cool steampunk. And he got hired for that, apparently. So I'm going, crap, but you can do that. I don't really like that, but you can do that. So, all right, so let's kick that over a little bit. Same sort of thing, mobile DJ. What can a mobile DJ get away with minimalistic then? A mobile DJ definitely also could do just the laptop if needed in some sort of mixer, right?
I think when you get away from weddings, that there's going to be a different expectation in some aspects of how you're performing. Whether if I'm doing teen dances, I'm going to need to be able to do some different things that I won't need to do at a wedding. A lot of different things to do it and do it well and do it properly. As even going into bars, there's some things I'm going to do in bars that I would not do at a wedding. And obviously, the inverse is true also. I think when you start going into doing more diverse events beyond weddings, whether it's a bar or even a teen dance, I think now we introduce a subwoofer to the equation. I think for a lot of weddings, you don't need that, or I should say you can get away without it.
Yeah.
But now I think you get into a teen dance, for sure you have to have at least one, maybe 2 subwoofers. But in bars, I mean, I've gotten
not in front of the table though, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'd put them in the corner and say, this is how Dan should be doing it. That's what I'd do that video. But I think that would be something that would be the next step in that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we tried to break out weddings and then we put everything else in mobile. And I think just like with what John's kind of saying, there's so vast a thing within mobile, because you went to the teen dance thought, and my thought was mobile could be the backyard party. That is somebody's hiring me for a Saturday afternoon because they're throwing a big party at their house, and what do I need there? Not even maybe necessarily 2 speakers, 1 speaker. A laptop even probably plugged into the back and let it just autoplay. I mean,
I saw a guy recently post a picture, and I showed it to a friend of mine, and he goes, I did a little upgrade to my system, and all it was like, it was an outdoor, like you said, like a family kind of party sort of thing, and there were like 2 8-inch speakers on poles, small ones, and it looked like he had a laptop and a mixer setting on a picnic table covered with a tablecloth, and I'm looking, what the heck did he upgrade to? But he made paycheck that day.
Yeah, exactly. And to a point, if the customer is happy, if that's what they were wanting to have, and it worked well, and the response and results were there, you can't knock it. Reggie mentions class reunions. It obviously depends on the year. If you're doing a more modern, a 10-year class reunion, you're probably looking more at a club school dance type music from that era. We get back and you get a 30, 40, 50 year class reunion. We're back to a 2-speaker playing the hits in a elevator music level.
Yeah. I want to touch on that, those exactly what you just said about here in a little bit, the whole reunion stuff with another area, what we're doing. Club DJ, basically, it all depends. 99% of the time, you're going to be spinning with Serato on either turntables with Serato control vinyl or CDJs of some sort, or the new Pioneer, the new the Denon 5000s or something like that. So basically, you're going to need a laptop and music and headphones. That's kind of what you're going to have to need for that. Most of those, you're going to walk in, you're going to use their equipment, you're going to plug in, you're going to maybe even have to have a Serato box even. It all depends.
MJ, let's take a little bit of a pause there, because there's a question it came to me, and I've heard people talking about this.
Yeah.
Quality of headphones. Now, you've talked, you've looked at headphone quality, and as mobile DJs, and maybe Dan, because you came from a radio background and had more experience with better quality headphones, but as a wedding guy, and that's what I started at, headphones were just a thing to listen to the beginning of the next song to know where it started, and get the tape cued or whatever. But yet, when I'm hearing guys who are doing real active mixing, they're like, no, I can't use this headphone. This thing is junk. And it's like, I thought it sounded really good. They're looking for specific things, I think, that I'm not.
Okay, first off, it is a relative thing to each person what they want to hear. But the main thing is, I can explain this. A friend of mine, I use his examples a lot. We talked about one night, like, what's your ideal headphone? We talked about, and he's like, I don't know, whatever's the cheapest at Walmart. And he did a lot of mobile gigs, like you said, and then did a teen dance where he took a lot of extra sound and lighting and really did it up, and realized he couldn't hear his own cue music because the headphones couldn't go loud enough, and the further you turn them up, the more broken up they get. So it gets into a lot of stuff, being able to, the difference between a sound isolation and sound, what's the other one? Sound cancellation. Yeah. You don't want sound cancellation. You want sound isolation. And that's simply done like this, to where it keeps sound from coming in. But you do want something that will carry volume without breaking up, because once you start doing that, then you stop hearing the finite points of the song. So when I'm mixing, I'm not just going, oh, here's a song. I'm listening to what key it's in. I'm listening to, okay, this instrument comes in here, so I know I need to back the mid off here to match that instrument coming in at that point. So as we're going in here, okay, now I'm going to blend this in. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get ready to scratch out of it 5, 6, 7, 8, and I need to be able to hear the exact point I'm on, the exact amount I'm doing, whether I need to grab the gain, bring my scratch down, whatever. So it is about, in the midst of loudness, hearing everything as clear as if you were just sitting in your office quietly with a set of headphones. And that's what it is. It's kind of why I choose certain ones that I do. And then beyond that, it also becomes fit. Some people just don't like over the ear, or don't like on the ears, or like I just got these. I actually won them, believe it or not. They're the Pioneer 700s. And
I've heard of that.
One of those, I fill out all those DJ things, like the questionnaires all the time. Well, I won a prize from filling them out. And these ones, I don't like them because they don't pivot. So if they're on my neck, they don't pivot. But they have this. So if you want off one ear, a lot of guys DJ with one on one ear, you can do that and kick them back on. So to some people, this is the most ideal thing in the world, because they can go one ear, 2 ears, stuff like that. But to other people, if it doesn't twist and tilt out or whatever, if depending on how you're doing it, guys wear their headphones down, wear them back, wear them whatever. I think in that situation, it's always pays to go extra. These I looked up after I won them. They're $120, and that's not the most expensive headphones most people I know run.
Right.
They'll run $300 headphones. I have a nephew who DJs, and he's actually had a couple $300 pair of headphones stolen. Ooh. And like, ouch, So
for the longest time when I was doing radio, and then I would use the same set for when I was doing my mobile, and then when I was doing the bar gigs, I would use like the Sony's 7506s. I think that's the right number for them. Just because they were kind of like an industry standard for radio jocks and stuff, and just kind of really fell in love with them. And then as I became more mobile and kind of doing more and stuff like that, I needed something that would kind of hold up more to the transport aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of got on the wave of the V-Motas there for a while.
Yep.
When everybody kind of was hopping on with them, and I didn't go for the 300 level because I'm like, I listened to 20 minutes of the song, or 20% of the song, not the whole thing. I'm not spending $300. And that's what I use still, and love them, absolutely love them. I know some guys who are using the in-ear and prefer that because of the better control that you can get from a good quality set. The reason why I'm saying this is some of the guys in the group were saying, recommendations. As MJ said, it's kind of depends. It's
I'm going to say a recommendation that's going to get a lot of boos from our crowd, but is extremely popular. Beats.
Yeah,
they have one of the lowest sub hits of headphones. There are a couple others out there that do pretty close, and that's important because we as in mixing, we want to hear that kick. We want to hear where things are at. We don't want it to be lost in the upper range. Basically, it's funny because I'll have headphones on. People try to talk to me like, you don't understand. I literally can't hear a word coming out of your mouth when I have my headphones on. Literally, you could be telling me you're on fire, drop, duck, and roll or whatever. I would not be able to hear you. So Jimmy, yeah, whatever, Jimmy. Jimmy booed me. So those of you not following the chat. Like I said, it all depends on, it's all to what you like. But I think that in that sense where you're in something that's really loud, especially if you're working next to another DJ that likes to crank the booth up, because we've talked about that before, John, about guys having I have friends that'll run a 15 in front of them and a 15 behind them as booth monitors. And and headphones. So they're having all of this and headphones. So people, like, again, you say they're crap. I look at Bose stuff, and again, I know we're not supposed to talk about Bose. Bose hasn't put out a product in a lifetime that I thought was worth me running over with my car. And the same with the V-Motas. Everybody loves the V-Motas. I literally went there at the expo 2 years ago and tried every pair on. Did not like a single one of them. So,
and see, I have a big issue, and part of it's my head size that I have a lot of problems with. I prefer the on-ear or even an over-ear, and putting some on, and like they would fit just so weird, like so stiff on my head, and I'm just like, no, I'm not even touching these.
Yeah.
And when I looked at some different ones that I was using, I won a pair of the American Audio ones that they had, the HP 550s or whatever, 1 year, and I wore them out until they just broke on me, and I wanted something a little bit higher, and for me the V-Motos really they give me that crisp, clear sound, and they isolate what I need. Now, if I was in a club environment, probably wouldn't be having the same conversation.
Yeah,
the V-Motos are my mobile and my weddings, they're perfect.
The V-Motos, I think, are probably one of the toughest, like, durable pair that I've seen, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I just love how, in fact, we just started talking about that, and the whole chat room's going over headphones. It is subjective. I can tell you this: that the headphones that I use to DJ are a small set of Newmark, the Red Series, and I got them. They sent them to me to test, and before I tried them on, I'm like, this is going to be a joke. I tried them on and used them, and I use them every time you see me out, unless I'm someplace using the in-ears. Those are the ones my go-tos. So my judgment right off the bat, looking at them, going, these are going to be terrible. I put them on, I'm going, oh yeah, this works for me. I also used to use the ones, like you said, Dan, the American Audios, the 700 series I used for a long time. I loved them until I saw a picture of me with them on, and I looked like Princess Leia because they looked, and I'm like, I'm going to change that look.
Or you needed to get the white schmuck on, and
which they do make Princess Leia headphones.
Yeah,
if you ever did want them,
I think you could rock it.
I don't know. It's, I saw one day that looked like two hamburgers on headphones, and I thought I could do that. And I saw a guy DJ one time where he had bull horns coming out of the side of the headphone. I thought that's creative.
You're not doing one of these very much if you got those things.
Yeah, and if you got to turn and talk to people, that's the way to keep them from doing requests. What? All right, so headphones are important for the club. Like I said, that's pretty much it. You're going to have to learn to use that equipment. You will get away sometimes if you want to use a controller. I do get away more often than you can. I did one Saturday where I took my controller in. So it's all relative, but that's all you're going to need if you want to do that, equipment-wise. And DJ producer, that could be anything, in my opinion, could be anything from an app to Ableton Live or I'm blanking on the other name. anyways, to make music and put it out there. It really can be just about anything. Pro Tools, thank you. I couldn't think of what it was called. So it can be any level on that. And then again, you're going out and you may, if you're into the production of the electronic stuff, you may simply walk out of your studio, get on a plane with a thumb drive, walk up, pop your thumb drive in, and DJ off the thumb drive. So
yeah, different world, completely
different world. Yeah,
completely different world. And I think once you reach that higher echelon of that world, I mean, there's some real money to be made there, but we're talking a percent of a percent of a percent type of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like acting, you know, most of the actors are starving actors. There's very few that are making enough to even cover their bills, and then let alone those who are making a good living, much less those who are getting rich off it.
I can tell you lots of DJs who you would think are rich DJs out on tour that literally are begging people, can I sleep on your floor?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting as we're talking all the and we go back to that survey that Digital DJ Tips had, and a number of DJs who wanted to become producers and didn't want to be mobile, but were being mobile, and they were kind of, you know, you almost had that feeling kind of reading between the lines that they're lamenting my decision in life to be a mobile DJ. Yet, unfortunately, the mobile DJ world is where you can actually make enough to cover your bills a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do that. You got to do one to do the other. And that's the thing about, we talked about before, John, about taking certain things off the table to put other things on the table. You may have to do that, you know.
Yeah.
To do gigs you don't want, to give you enough money to travel to the gigs you want to do. Since they're bringing it up in the chat room, I'm going to go to the next section now, music. So I have had a couple of my students that literally are, like I said, are starting out and literally had no idea where to get music or what kind of music to get. They didn't know how to get older music, stuff like that.
Yep.
We did an entire show on downloading music. So if you are not part of the DJNTV Insiders area, become a part of it. And there's a video in there that I cover legal and illegal ways to get music. So, and I put it out there, you know, whatever.
And in June, just to build off that, I'm going to be doing an interview with Nick Hahn from Promo Only. And in that interview, he's going to go and actually spell out what makes them legal, what makes them illegal. And I'm trying to get him to name some names, which would be very, very interesting because he has lots of contacts within the music industry, and he has lots of friends who are both legal, doing what he's doing, and many of them are doing gray area illegal to fully illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
So
let's talk about music you would need, not necessarily where to get it, because you know you can, like, here's the synopsis of the video. You can pay promo only. You could pay what's the prime cuts? You could pay
Top Hits USA.
You could pay Video Tools. You could pay iTunes.
Zip DJ is another one that's out there that's legit. You know,
or you can steal it from YouTube. You can get it from other DJs. There's your synopsis.
And I to a point, I really think that all of this discussion, and again, I love the people from the different groups that we've talked about, the prime cuts and promo and such, but I think we are sitting just on the edge where something like Spotify, what is it, Spotify Pro or Spotify, what is it, the premium one?
Premium, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, at my kid's school on Saturday night, the DJ was strictly Spotify Premium, playing from the Spotify Premium app. Now, granted, he wasn't beat mixing and he wasn't doing that, but he did a better job, according to my two boys who were there, than two of the three DJs that were at the school this year. The third DJ was incredible and rocked that school. There were people weeping in the halls because that DJ was so incredible with his Denon his MC8000. But
I heard he had a good teacher.
He did, and that 8000 was rocking. But it was interesting that here is a teenager that's getting into it, and he rented it and borrowed and stealed, and he rented my lights. That's where he got the lights from. But using the Spotify and comfortable streaming the whole thing. And there weren't any hiccups from what the boys were saying. There were just some songs that had a weird beginning, and he couldn't, cue into the song.
Right.
Like we do. But the kids didn't care. They had a good time.
Here's a spin off of that where I think the music thing is really going towards is that there's several programs now that will let you stream directly from streaming services. And I want to use Virtual as an example because it's the one I use, but they all have a streaming service that can attach to it. So if I'm out somewhere and I have a connection, whether it be through the place I'm at's Wi-Fi or do a thing off the phone, a tethering off the phone, because I'm a Prime subscriber, or they have other ones that work with it. I mean, you can be Deezer, you can be, I can't think of the other two that it does. You literally can go and search, and any song that's on Spotify, I can drag and drop in Virtual, never leave my program. It's not on my computer, drag and drop, start playing. I literally can scratch in the song if I want.
Yeah.
It's like that. So, which I'm telling you, I've done recently. I was at a place, did this college bar, and I can't believe it. Somebody wanted to hear Avril Lavigne's "Complicated," and I couldn't believe I didn't have it. I had Skater Boy, but I didn't have "Complicated." So I went, "Oh crap! I can do this now," and I can just, I just went over to my little Spotify thing, typed it in, drug it up, started playing. The girls went nuts. So yeah, there's a lot of that right now. So I want to talk about what music you would need. Here's the more specific thing. If you're doing a wedding,
and then let's get back to day and night. Had a question about music too, so we'll get back to that. But
which way do you want to go? Day and night?
Let's do the music you'd need, and then we'll come back to getting where to get some of it.
Okay, wedding music. That's going to be a broad range, but it's not going to have to be as up to date as, let's say, a club would, right?
Right.
I would personally recommend for your weddings that you start with like looking at DJ Intelligence or what's the other one?
DJ Event Planner's they've got their top 200 lists.
Yeah, that is exactly where I was going with it. And you've got you've got your top 200, and then you could even branch out and to make yourself kind of flesh out a little bit more. I mean, but you think about what 200 songs, the average one is 3 minutes. That's 600 minutes of music, assuming that you go through it. If you're starting out, that's the place to begin. I'll be honest with you. When I'm doing a wedding, I'm searching through that folder that I have. I actually have a folder that I just drop all those songs into, and that's my go-to. If my brain kind of like does one of these, what do I need to do? Okay, let's search there first. And for what I'm looking for, half the time it works.
All right, I'm making notes because somebody asked a question. Go ahead, John. Would you add on to anything he would say for like the wedding and / mobile? We'll put those two together for that one.
Yeah, for what songs to have. I think we've done a lot on this with our going back to the insider area. We've got it where we've been breaking it down by decades of some of the top songs that you must know. Mm-hmm. So there's sources out there, and in this day and age, you take $500 and you go over to Amazon. You could do that, but you could go to iTunes, and this is kind of bridging into the day and night. You can find that stuff, those lists, and you can go buy this stuff from iTunes. The key thing is none of it's truly legal to use. There's the thing. We all want to be legal and we all want to do what's right, but unless we're getting it from one of the pool services like Promo or Prime Cuts, it's not legal. We're basically like, okay, we're choosing this one that makes us feel better that it's not legal against this one that we know is completely illegal. They're both illegal to use.
Yeah.
So.
No, wait. I thought we've gone down this road before about this, where it was against their terms of service.
Not necessarily. And is that not illegal to use?
Is that illegal, or is that just being rude?
I think with what MJ's saying is being rude. Like, it's not going to put you in jail.
Correct.
What iTunes or Amazon could decide to do is, we hear you're not using it for what we intended, so you lose your account.
Or limit you.
Not going to send you to jail because you play this music in a public place.
Yeah, they would probably at most send you a letter saying, please don't do this. We're kind enough to give you music at a discounted rate. Please don't do that. That's probably all the further they could go with it. But that's I tell you, that is going to be such as it develops into the whole streaming and downloading and things like that. That is going to be all. I think the legal versus illegal is going to grow even more.
I think so. I really do. And people have been posting in the Insider on our chat board asking about the YouTube. That you're having more and more people come up and say, "Hey, here's a link. I want this version at my wedding."
Yeah,
and it's only a YouTube video, and they're like, "Hey, how can I do that?" It's getting to that point that, as much as we may not like the concept of it, this is the new world we live in, and that we're probably going to have to access some of the music from YouTube or from some of these sources, SoundCloud, that we cannot pay for. We can't pay royalties to make ourselves feel good. It's just the way it's going to be.
There's
or you
many
could just
times,
reach out to the artist and see if they'd be willing to send it to you.
True, but most of us aren't that ambitious. Come on, we're DJs.
Worked for me last October.
yeah.
I
It's-
actually lucked out on that one. So.
Yeah, it's tough because, like I said, a lot of the stuff, like especially if I'm doing, like last summer, I did the place down in the city, and it was all tropical house, and there was a lot of songs that I wanted to play that I literally couldn't download them anywhere legally.
Yeah.
They just weren't there to download. I would have had to contact like the record label or something, and then they would have told me, well, you can go to the artist's website and pay for it, and then like, oh, but you can't buy the single, you have to buy the blah 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 whatever, and so that's sometimes your only choice. So those are good places to go get beginner music if you want for those types of gig. Club music, you just got to be up to date. That's one of the biggest things. You got to be up to date, and you got to have the right remixes. So this is where also getting into the illegal stuff, going through different places, whether it be Club Killers or Crooklyn Clan or Video Tools or whatever, finding remixes. You literally could not go into a club and DJ radio edits ever. You just can't.
I think there's kind of a trade-off, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Your mobile, your wedding, you're doing more hardware buying, where club, you're doing more music buying.
I wouldn't say buying. I think you're doing more music
acquiring.
There we go.
Yeah, you're doing more research. You're doing more manipulation. Someone asked earlier about using samplers and such. Do you use samplers? I think when you're doing the club, and MJ, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think you spend more time setting cue points, finding things that you may want to sample, or you may want to set a loop in an area because that's a really cool backtrack that you can use. Mm-hmm. So as a wedding DJ, it's like I can just talk over that crap beginning. Start. Yeah. So how you guys doing tonight?
When I look at a song for the clubs, I'm looking at probably minimum 4 different starting points, depending on what song I'm coming out of. And in the same way, that song I'm coming out of, I'm going to have 2 or 3 points in my mind, whether they be cue pointed or not, going, if I want to cut it short, I cut it short here, this way, mixing this way. If I want to cut it here, I'll mix a different way, whether it be a scratch or whatever, just something in each point will do it. So as I'm going, I've got that one set up ready to do that way, the next one ready to go, and then I'm thinking of the third one after that and how I'm going to do it. So I'm constantly just doing, and then if I get 3 up, and then I'm like sitting here going, okay, I'm going to let the song play a little bit. I got time. What am I going to do? I'm going to go hunt the next 2 songs. I'm going to put the next 2 in there. Or I'm going to go, okay, I've done 3 new songs. I want to do a couple throwback songs. So then your mind, you have to go, okay, now I'm going to create a throwback set in my mind. Okay, which ones should I go to? This crowd does this. So it's a lot about the finite points of the music. And that's why when I teach in my DJ classes, we start with the song, then 2 segments, as in like bridge, chorus, pre-chorus, all the kind of stuff like that, and then down into counting of verses so that you're able to pick points where you want on that. So, but getting it, like I said, again, you can get that anywhere, but like even promo only has remixes, but you're going to have to get something that's different. And one of the cool things is if you can show your creativity in the club era about coming up with tracks that nobody has, or something that's different, catching people off guard, then you're going to be known for that.
Yeah.
So
the surprise factor. Always love the surprise factor. That's so huge.
Yeah, and the DJ producer, if you're doing that, chances are you're going out, your purpose of going out and DJing is promoting your music. So chances are you're making your own remixes. So whoever you're playing, you're probably going to play your remix of it, or your edit of it, or your this of it, or your that of it. So that music there is kind of built on that too. And again, there's a good chance that you are spinning a specific genre in one of those too. So somebody asked, before we jump off of music, about explicit Spotify stuff. You just kind of have to look, because some of them in Spotify are marked as explicit, some aren't. It's kind of a guessing game sometimes. Sometimes you can find, different quote unquote edits in there, and you might find an edit that's that way, or something that's marked radio edit. But you do have to be careful with that if you're worrying about explicit lyrics.
And that was a question I had for my boys, is if that was the case, because they were obviously playing some songs that just aren't. We have the clean versions, but aren't always the cleanest. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, there was nothing, which was different again from the 2 of the 3 DJs that were there. Mm-hmm. Is one of them had played Thrift Shop, and it was not the edited version of Thrift Shop, and the other one played Get Low. The last DJ, he played the unedited, or the pseudo edited version of Get Low. which obviously not so cool.
Yeah. So again, I guess that would also depend on the type of gigs you want to do. So yeah, that's why a lot of times I try to do hunting on my own, so that because I play clean edits everywhere I'm at, and I want to make sure I have the right stuff. And there's nights where I'm out DJing and I'll catch an old song, a throwback, and I'm like, oh, that's not clean.
Mm-hmm.
Pull out the phone, make a note so that when I get home and get on my computer, I'll see the little note going, edit this or get a different version or something. So, and the other thing here is with this, because I spin videos, I'm having trouble sometimes finding videos for older songs. Like, good example, Notorious B.I.G.'s, what's the one?
Hypnotized?
Hypnotize.
Mm-hmm.
The only video of that out is the one that they put out, and there's people talking throughout it and sound effects and everything. And I'm like, I want that video, but I don't want to play it out places and have them talking and hear cars screeching as they're doing. So I had to go back and re-edit the whole thing and take the regular audio and edit the video over top and cut parts to make the match, just so I can have my video version that I can play out places. So this is all part of what we do in our end of it. Do we need to cover anything else on music?
I think that pretty much covers our bases.
Okay, let's talk skills, because that was something that somebody else brought up. I believe someone did. Wedding DJ, skill-wise, let's look at everything. Music skills, talking skills, presentation skills. I think those are the three that cover pretty much everything once you show up at a gig that you need to have, right?
Yeah, there's some coordination skills of being able to plan and coordinate an event. I think at weddings you have to have a higher level of people skills than you do in some of the other arenas, because you can't go and basically tell half the people that that you don't like to go bug off, because this is a wedding and that's kind of a killer. They have to be there for the whole night. It's not like a bar where if somebody's like not liking a DJ, they can go to the next bar. Well, I'm going to go to the next wedding. No, that's not how it works. So
we could, but not exactly recommended.
No.
And of course, all that means that MJ is now thinking, no, I'm not going to do the wedding, because he likes.
I just can't. I don't enjoy them. That's all I can say, is that when I do them, they make me want to stop DJing forever. That's all I can say. So, mixing skills, probably don't have to have them, but it could be helpful to have mixing skills at the weddings.
Yeah, I think unfortunately most wedding DJs have mixing skills are fade out, fade in, and their version of mixing is, and I've done this over the years myself. It's probably until about 10 years ago, and I started to not do fade out and fade in, doing different things. But it was like, I was mixing because I made the fade out and the fade in cross each other, so that's mixing.
I call those in my classes, that's called an unusual transition, and it is something you can do.
It is, but that was the kick in it transition for most wedding DJs, because again, I'm hearing people talk, talking to venue managers and such, and they're telling you about, that's something unusual that the DJ was keeping the inch going for a long period of time, because they're like, usually there's a fade out back. We've talked about this back in the polka band days, Reggie, that they would play a song and then afterwards there would have to be the stop and. Okay, now everybody, we're going to change and go to a little bit different beat, so grab your polka partner this time, and we're going to be doing the black tie polka. There had to be that between songs, and DJs adopted that for the longest time. Not quite that much gap, but, a gap. Kind of a thing.
I've even had bands that I work with when I used to tour. My one booking agent worked with a lot of bands, and he would get me to work with them about stage presence and stuff. And one of the things that I got them doing that got people like, this is so amazing, is I'm like, stopping in between songs. You know what you're going to play next. Have someone who's going to be the lead to hit the first note as soon as that other note ends. Stop stopping.
Yeah.
They do not need to, we wrote this song last year when we were riding on the tour bus out in they don't care. Play the song, So we've gotten to the band to the point now where they're mixing live their own instruments, where they're not stopping. They're being creative, doing cross, that unusual crossover between the songs to keep the energy going.
That's why we had a band that's been around since my parents were dating in the 60s. And the band is still, it's a variety band and doing covers. And they still are playing in the upper Midwest. And they are one of the few bands who are clearing a couple $1 million a year performing. So they're not young guys, but they're very good musicians. Mm-hmm. But they were one of the first bands that adopted. I mean, as I've told people, when the very first time I saw them, and I was probably 15 at the time, they were a DJ doing DJ things, meaning that they were mixing their songs. As you're talking about, MJ, is that there were times where you weren't sure where one song ended unless you knew the music. You weren't sure where one ended and the next begun because they were that good. They were that tight with it. And all of a sudden, the drummer just, wait a second, he just changed his rhythm just a little bit. And now he's there doing this song. That's my new favorite song, man. That kind of a thing was happening. Yeah. And people just didn't know what was going on, but they responded to it and they loved it. And that's why these guys became so popular. And even today, he's the lead singer or the band leader is to the point where he should be retiring and doing his wheelchair somewhere, but he's still up there and leading this band. Not that he's doing as much as he was, but he's still very popular. Yeah, and it's because they do the DJ type performance in many ways. Yeah,
when I say mixing, TJ was talking in the chat room about slamming. When I'm talking about music, I'm not talking about beat matching. Because beat matching is not mixing, and I proved that in one of the videos that we did a while back. I did it once where it was just beat matched, and then there was mix. There's a difference, and you can slam two songs together and make a good mix, or you can slam two songs together and make it sound like you just slammed two songs together. There's a big difference on how you do that, and that's one of the things that I think when people say, "Oh, you don't have to mix at a wedding." No, you don't. But I guarantee you, if you do something not mixing, and another DJ comes up who knows what he's doing and mixes, not beat matches, mixes, that crowd is going to react so much more to the person who mixes as opposed to the person who does the fade out or the crossover. You don't think it is, but I can prove it to you. I would literally bet my entire career on it. Literally bet my entire career on it. So, what were we talking about? Skills. Mobile skills. Same sort of thing, depending upon, like you said, John, depending upon the gig, whether, if at a high school or college thing, you probably would want to mix a little bit more. But if it was a 30th year reunion, no. Dan, anybody?
Yeah, I mean, it goes to who your audience is, and that's kind of one of the skills I was thinking about that we haven't talked about, but I think becomes very important to pick up fast is the ability to read your crowd. I think that becomes, in my viewpoint at least, that skill outweighs learning to mix like effectively, because unless you're going to do club stuff obviously, but for mobile and weddings, because it will get you through any of the other stuff. If you can read your crowd and see what they're responding to and be able to layer it the right way, it will get you through that beginning stage to when you can then learn to do all the other stuff that makes you that much better.
Yeah. It's a fine line. So I encourage people to practice, because there's days you could be just goofing around and then figure out like, oh, wow, this works. I'm going to have to do this next show. And then you do it the next show, and then the crowd reacts and you're like, oh, I got to learn more if I can get the crowd to do that.
Oh, for sure.
Because John said at one time he did that where with a beat over a song, it was an intro of a song that was really slow. Who was it? Justin Bieber or somebody?
Yep, exactly. That did a variety of them. And I was using different beats, and then I went as far as I found some additional different samples that would work with the virtual DJ. And I was using different ones in different places of the songs. And yeah, when you practice and you try something, it's like, oh, that didn't sound very good. Rewind it, and then try this. Oh, hey, I like how that's. So I was my cheat sheet was, okay, here I wanted this to go, and I want this, and then I can go out of here because I don't remember that stuff. I mean, MJ, for you, this is like. You've got this unnatural ability to remember all the little aspects of it. I don't. So I have a song, and I've got my notes of where I want to go in and out and up and back and change and go forward. And then here's the part where I want to use some sock puppets and act out the part of the song. I mean, I had my notes ready to go, and it did. It really helped. The prom, the second prom, first one, which didn't work. The second prom, though, where everything was working properly, I mean, the kids were like, oh, my God, this is, because they've seen me 4 times this year already, and they're like, this was incredible. It was way different than the other shows. Well, it's because the other shows I did a little bit, but the second show I was adding some additional features. Third show was, and now this fourth one was adding the redrum below the music, which they hadn't heard that before, done in that way. it just added so much to the whole process.
So I did that Saturday night on a song where I had an outro of a song riding underneath an intro of a song. It's one of those ones where like I did in that video that we showed, we let the intro ride a lot, and then threw another sample on top of the outro that was looping on that and put all three of them together as the blend in. And I guarantee nobody but me there knew that was anything other than one song. And that's the goal. If you're doing it right, people can't really tell what you're doing. They're just feeling it. They're feeling the. And like I said, that can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be, like Dan said. I tell people, I think two of the biggest things of being a good DJ are knowing your music and reading the crowd. I think those are the two of the biggest things that can help you, because you could be a great mixer. If you can't read a crowd, you're not going to rock a crowd very well.
Very much so.
And in a sense you flip that, you don't have to be the greatest mixer, but if you're great at reading a crowd, you can just make that crowd dance till they can't stand anymore.
And I think this is a spot Brian and I were talking about last week a little bit, is the ability to not read the crowd and to really kind of take them on that musical journey. And getting back to it, when you're talking about surprising people with some songs, but taking them on a journey that fits them and where they are tonight, which could be completely different than last night and will be different than next week. But to be able to do that and do that well, I mean, that's really where DJs make their money, is to be able to have a group of people who come in there, take them on a musical journey to the point where they're like, you know what, I don't want to go home. I want to see where we're going next. Whether they're dancing or just listening, but they want to hang out because they're just enjoying the experience.
All right. We're getting really close to being out of time. Even though we started 10 minutes late, we're going to go a couple more minutes.
Yep.
The last two things kind of go together, and I want you guys to touch on them however you want. Dan, you already touched on it a little bit with stuff that you brought back to me when I sent the thing to you guys about if you wanted to add anything to the list. Dan, you brought a thing back, and it's part of it. The two things, again, prior to doing the gig, is everything we're talking about tonight. The two is marketing and then selling, because I think they're different. Marketing is more of getting people's attention. Selling is once you have their attention, would you like to hire me, or would you like to upgrade? So let's talk about that in the senses of where they fit into. And Dan, the thing you talked about was contracts, and I think that probably fits in more of the selling. Do you agree?
Yeah.
In the marketing?
Because you need to have your ducks in a row for actually selling what you're doing, and that's the protection of it all. For weddings, and I would even kind of lump some of the mobiles in with that. For marketing, well, let me touch on the wedding first. For marketing, I would be very careful with the marketing you do for a wedding, because we're talking about before you go out for your first one. My philosophy is your first one should either be for a friend who's going to be forgiving, or you're going with somebody else for a wedding, because there's such a stress aspect that can be there, that if you screw up, you need to make sure that it's somebody who's not going to have your butt because you made a mistake, because it was your first event, and that happens. So, and I'm sure there's other that can fit into the categories besides just friend and, with somebody. But I think within that marketing, you've got to be very careful until you've got your feet wet, how you're marketing what you're doing.
Yeah. And that's actually something I want to build off that a little bit. That I'm really surprised, because I'm on a couple of Facebook chat boards where there are new DJs, people who are just getting started out, that are advertising or marketing or what have you, promoting to and wedding brides. And what's interesting is, as I'm just watching them and how they're engaging with brides, and then I have a conversation with them, the number of them that have never done a wedding before. They've got their first wedding coming up, and now they're asking me questions about some gear or this or that or the other thing, and they have just so little clue, but they're already out there advertising and marketing their services as they're a wedding professional DJ. Just astounds me. So when you're talking about having the skills before you start advertising or marketing that concept, it's amazing. DJs don't do that whatsoever. And
no,
even back when we first started out, we wanted to make sure we had our feet wet. We were doing bars and such. We weren't even looking at weddings until somebody came up to us in the bar and says, "Hey, we love what you do. Could you do this at our wedding?" What? Play music? Yeah, I suppose. Do we have to do anything else? Nope. We're there. instead of today's DJs, which need to make announcements and be able to play these special dances at the right times and making sure that things are organized and coordinated and flowing, and smile when the mother of the bride comes up there and tells you to turn it down, and then smile when the father of the groom comes up and tells you to turn it up, and smile when the drunk uncle comes up there and says, "Can I sing along?" and smile when the drunk aunt comes up there and says, "Hey, you're kind of cute. You want to dance?" You've got all these things that go on at weddings that inexperienced, first time I just can't fathom how that.
There's a lot. I don't want to get into the horror stories that I have come across recently. I'll be glad to tell you guys off the air, but I don't want to say stuff on the air. But it is absolutely one of the reasons why I chose tonight's topic is because I've been running into people who literally, have a controller, went out and got a controller, or don't even own a controller. I got software. I want to do a gig. And that's literally their experience with the DJ world is I want to be a DJ. Yeah. We saw that in the digital DJ tips survey. How many people there in the survey? It was what was it, Dan? Like 20% that said, I'm a DJ, but I don't have any equipment and I've never DJ'd out.
Yeah, it's like I've never done anything. I don't have anything, but I'm a DJ.
So let's marketing and sales. Marketing to me, again, this is a little different for the wedding side, but you would have to start with social media. After that would be a dedicated website, I'm guessing. And in amongst all of that, networking.
Yeah, now networking is probably your number one with, getting the word out to friends and family. Hey, I'm a DJ and I'd like to be doing this type of events. If you know anybody, please mention my name, share my Facebook page, share. Yeah. And that's where, when younger DJs, why it's tougher for guys at our age to get out there and start a wedding company compared to a 20-something. Well, 20-something person has every friend who's getting married. And hey, you remember Joey from high school? Yeah, he's a DJ. He's doing this, and he'll cut us a deal. That gets you in the door and opens a lot of doors. And then you go to college and they're like, "Oh yeah, the Joey, he's a DJ from college. Yeah, we know he's an awesome dude, and he'll cut us a deal."
Yep.
And then you remember that guy from work? Yeah, he just started a couple of months ago. Joey, yeah, from work. Yeah, he's a DJ, and he'll cut us a deal.
That is so the trend right now.
And that becomes a problem. As we get older, we don't know people who are getting married in their 40s too often. And if they do, it's generally, well, we're going to fly to a location, and it's a small event. There's not much and that's it. So,
or they're going to have a playlist. That's it.
Yeah.
Literally Friday night, I was contacted by a venue that said, we have a couple that's their second marriage. They were thinking about maybe having a DJ. They're not doing any kind of special stuff for the reception. It is really calm, just getting together with some people in a small room. Would you be willing to come and DJ it? And I'm like, yeah. And I told them a price, and they said, okay, we'll go to them. And the lady got back to me and said, we didn't even get the price. We just asked them, are you interested in having a DJ? And they're like, no, we'll just play a playlist.
Yep.
And that was all they wanted for their thing. So it's an interesting thing. But like I said, I think networking is important, whether it be you talking to friends. If you're in the club scene, you've got to be out places, hit 2 or 3 places every night you're out. You're going to be out 3 nights a week minimum. You're going to be talking to other people. You're going to be helping other people, like other people's posts, share other people's gigs. If you have a friend that you're close to, I have a couple friends that we do this, that he has a gig, I share it on my page. Even if I have something that night, I share his, he shares mine. We just share. And you're not going to have many people that do that. It's going to be a backbiting business. You're not going to have that. But at least like other people's gigs. Click the like button. They'll support you, because it's networking today. When I talked about this again in one of our other shows about how that the internet is now the neighborhood to the next generation. It isn't about who lives near me or my city. It's about who am I friends with on Facebook. That's my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So that's why you just like things and share things and comment and ask somebody how they're doing. Stay in touch with them. Marketing is different than it was 20 years ago, because you would have had to take an ad in the newspaper and an ad in the yellow pages. And your only other exposure was a wedding expo of some sort. And those are even kind of not becoming as important as they used to be.
Very much so.
That's pretty much all I have on there, because we had the skills, we had the marketing, the selling, the hardware, the music were my things for all of them. Do you have any other things that I missed, guys?
Well, we got a few questions we need to cover. Yeah. First off, we've had some people asking about your classes, MJ.
Yes.
To get them.
you would contact me. I'm debating. I was actually talking to a guy the other night that owns a couple franchises of a business, and talking about that. I really feel that I'm at the point now where if I made what you would call now a DVD videos for the classes, I think I may start working on that this year. But in the meantime, you can contact me. I do them via Skype. There are 5 classes, and it covers everything from literally, this is an XLR cord, this is an RCA cord. If you're in the red, you're not rocking, that's a bad thing, all the way up to multi-deck mixing, multi-loop mixing, stuff like I was told you I was doing Saturday night, to where I was doing an outro loop and a sample underneath that outro loop on an intro into a song, and blending across. It covers everything. So you can take any of that. I couldn't tell you how many people I've had that take my class because they have already booked a gig. They got some equipment, they got maybe a laptop or something, some software, booked a gig, and go, I need to learn how to DJ before this wedding, before this. I'm doing my sister, one guy who's doing his sister's wedding as a present.
Yeah.
That's why I took my classes. And I don't know if he's DJ'd anything since then. Mm-hmm. But that's the kind of stuff that, you can learn. And I guarantee no matter what skill level you're on, I can help you be creative in it. Because like I said, the stuff that I do, like John said, I don't realize what I know, because to me, I'm doing it 3 nights a week for 4 hours a night on autopilot.
Yeah.
Because Saturday night I had the manager of the one place talking to me, and she's just talking, and I'm like listening to her having a conversation with the manager and having to mix, because I did not want to, not pay attention to the manager, because she's giving me more gigs.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be able to do a lot of different things, and it helps you. And I honestly believe it helps you, even if you take it away from that club scene and take it to a wedding. You could be talking to the bride and making a good transition in between songs. And as she talks to her friend, make a quick announcement, come back and talk to her. And you get that mindset of where it all becomes so second nature to you. You can do a lot of different things with that. You can be creative. You could be out on the floor, reach over the turntable from the outside of the floor, standing on Dan's sub in front of the table, do a mix, and get back out there, because it becomes natural to you. So that's kind of like that. And like I said, but I do think I'm going to probably end up developing it into a video series. It probably will be inside, or at least some of it inside the insider area, because John, I think, has a really great area there with the insider area that has a lot of knowledge. No matter what type of DJ you are, no matter what level you're at professional wise, there's information in there that can help you, from a lot of people contributing in there. So did that answer it, or did I ramble?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
You guys can email him at mj@immj.com. We'll get you right to him.
Or hit me up on Facebook. Facebook messages to me is just as quick. I can send you, that to me is like an instant thing. It's like texting, but you don't have my number. Ha ha. No. But yeah, you can do that. And I can send you and explain stuff to you about that. Someone meant something, John, that I think that could help you, that I never even thought of. That when I download a song, I'll go in and I'll tag the song with the genre and stuff like that. Make comments, make sure the ear's in there, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But there's a comment section, and sometimes I'll put things in there like slow dance, so that if I want to do a quick search for slow dance songs, I can make sure they're all marked and they all come up. But somebody mentioned in those little notes that you make about the songs, you could put them in that comment area there. And they would always be in that MP3, that you write the tag, and it will always be there. So if you ever had a question, you could look at it.
Yeah, that's true.
That was kind of cool.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, until somebody mentioned in the chat room, whoever you are, tip of the hat.
Yeah, neat. Cool. We need to scoot here, guys.
Hope you liked it. Hope you liked our "You're not a DJ, everyone's a DJ. Let's start being a DJ" series. So maybe the next one's going to be like, how do you keep going? I think maybe we should do that.
How do you stop being a DJ?
Yeah.
Or how do you keep going when you want to quit? Maybe that's what we'll cover next week. DJ motivation.
There you go.
Ooh, we got it. Tune in.
Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We will be back again tomorrow night with our Tuesday night shows. And then, of course, next week, we'll catch you then. Have yourself a great week. Good night.